Both are former national champions. AAU for Long and, of course, Golden Gloves for must system. A standing 8 count in effect. 3 knockdown rule with the exception of the final round. Referee and ring doctor can stop the fight. And, of course, in the butt rule, an unintentional butt occurs in half or less of the scheduled rounds. The fight declared a technical draw. After half the rounds, the decision will be based strictly on the judges' cards. 3 judges. The referee does not score in the bout here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Main Events presents Sports Channel America's Pro Boxing Tour. Next up, a 6-round featherweight bout. First, the referee, the man in charge of this bout, Harold Gomes. Now for the boxers. First, from Cincinnati, Ohio, he weighed in at 127 pounds, Sonny Long. And in the blue corner, from St. Louis, he weighed in at 129 pounds, Eddie Hopson.
The instructions in the dressing room. I expect a clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Have any questions? Shake hands and I'll call fight at the bell. Good luck to both.
Well, the third man in the ring will be Harold Gomez, who'll be handling between Hopson and Long. And again, that difference in ages here, Wally. 34 for Long as you take a good look at him. A decision as he lost to Jamel Hinton in his last fight that came in December for the WBA Continental Americas Championship. And, of course, in September of '89, a win in 6 in Pensacola over David Romero for Eddie Hopson. Round 1 scheduled for 6.
And Eddie Hopson's really something to see, Sammy. He's got exceptional hand speed, really good side-to-side movement. He's just a whirlwind in there. He's had some problems with his defense, and also he has not shown a tremendous punch so far. But he really is an exciting kid to watch, very entertaining fighter.
They've got him in there with a veteran, even though he's only 15 and 25. Hopson will be tested with a little tricky moves from time to time.
Well, still only 15 and 25. That's 40 bouts. You know, as opposed to 4 for Ed Hopson. That's 10 times the experience plus 10 years in age.
You can already see that quick hand and foot speed of Eddie Hopson.
Now this kid's a great combination puncher.
73 and 4, a couple of very disappointing losses to Kelsey Banks in the Olympic box-off, and a big disappointment not making the Olympic team.
And he absolutely handled Kelsey Banks in the Olympic trials, which were a week before the box-off. He also beat Carl Daniels, who was a national champion, now fighting as a welterweight as a professional. So he's beaten some guys who are bigger than him. Let's not forget, Kelsey Banks is about 6 feet tall.
But the power here of Eddie Hopson, he's demonstrating he's got some pretty good power here, Walter.
Well, they're trying to make him dig in a little bit more and hit with a little more authority, because he never was a big puncher as an amateur, and so far he hasn't been a tremendous puncher as a pro. They want him to settle down a little bit and make those punches count a little bit more. He's a funny kid. He's had more nicknames than just about any fighter I know. Now he's calling himself Pee-wee and the Boy Wonder. For a while they were calling himself Homicide Hopson. Then there was Mad Dog. I think he also called himself Playboy Hopson for a while.
Well, he's quickly getting renowned as the man after the 4 victories. It started as an amateur at 87. He turns a pretty nifty backflip if he gets the victory.
And he tells me his record, I believe, is 4 backflips after a win that he really liked. If he's just so-so about it, he might do 2. If he thinks he fought badly, he'll still do 1.
Good workmanlike route here for Eddie Hopson. The veteran Sonny Long trying to counter a couple of times just to keep him honest.
But you see all the bouncing around that Eddie's doing right now. These are the kind of habits they're trying to break him up. They want him to settle down on his feet a little bit more, make the movement a little more useful and a little bit more significant. Right now, he just bounces a lot.
Good activity for
hand
Hopson.
speed. He can put 10, 12 punches together. And right now, Sonny Long doesn't really know what to do.
He's just trapped on the ropes. You know, Hopson gets such good sparring with such good people. With the Duba stable, that's got to be a plus for him, doesn't it?
Well, sure. You know, he's in there with guys like Pernell Whitaker, and I don't know how often he goes with fighters like him and Meldrick Taylor, but when he does, that's invaluable work.
Well, Sonny Long is feeling like a punching bag here in round 1 as we close in on the end of the first round. Hopson against Sonny Long as we close round 1 here in Providence, Rhode Island tonight. Back to Providence Civic Center, round 2. These are the featherweights. Eddie Hopson against Sonny Long. And a big welcome goes to our good friends on Sports Channel Florida, viewing in on the boxing action from Providence, Rhode Island tonight. Hopson, the young undefeated featherweight, goes right to work. He's in the black with the white stripes.
And now he's getting into some showboating here. He really hasn't done that much damage to warrant that yet. And in fact, Sonny Long in his corner said the only thing is he's fast, but that's about all he's got. He's got fast hands, but that's it. I guess implying that he's not hitting him that hard.
One of the things that Long probably hasn't seen a lot of those punches. He's been hitting him so quickly.
I hope he's not trying to count them.
You want to see it again? Hopson is only 18 and a senior at Vashon High School in St. Louis, Missouri. Has a very special relationship with his father. He got him interested in boxing. He does give him some tips along the way, and also they spend a lot of time watching some old fights together, which I think is a nice little touch.
That's always a good idea for a young fighter, because I'll tell you what, no matter how good athletes get, there are certain guys in the past who you will never improve upon, like Sugar Ray Robinson, Joe Louis, Jack Dempsey, Henry Armstrong. It never hurts to watch guys like that. And Hopson has a little bit of Henry Armstrong in him, don't you think?
He does indeed. Is that good for a fighter to emulate somebody else, or you have to fit your own bag?
Well, of course, the fighter's got to find his own way in there, because you can't, let's face it, if you're built like Hopson, you're not going to be a Muhammad Ali. But there are certain techniques that you can pick up from fighters that you should watch.
Long doing his best to try to keep Hopson in the corner. That didn't work. Hopson, a very, very confident young man.
He really does not lack for confidence. He insists to me that he can stuff a basketball.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Well, I would.
Well, yeah, let's face it. He's 5'4". He's a
maybe with a
Spud
ladder. Come on.
He told me at the weigh-in last night and again today when he was taking my sports page away and reading everything before I had a chance to read it. He said he was going to be slicker today, and he was very slick in stealing the paper, but he did give it back. But he said he was going to be slicker in the ring, and already we've seen it here. Is there such a word?
Yeah, I don't know. How do you get slicker than this kid? You know, how do you make a cobra slicker? It's just crazy. I don't think that's what he needs, really. Well, he's got a million moves for such a young fighter, doesn't he?
And Hopson doing what he has to do against the veteran. He has toyed with him through the goings here in the round number 2. You see the closing seconds of the second. Scheduled for 6.
This really has just been target practice for Eddie Hopson.
We'll be back with more action after this regional timeout. Pro Boxing Tour tonight from Providence. We'll move to round 3 in just a moment. Tonight to our Pro Boxing Tour in Providence Civic Center, waiting, of course, the main event with their hometown favorite, Vinny Pazienza, going up against Eddie Van Kirk. First fight tonight, Eddie Hopson against the veteran Sonny Long, and it's been all Hopson, and just a marvel to watch the hand speed and the foot speed of this young featherweight.
He really is quick, and you know, it's been Hopson. It seems to be destined to remain that way, because I don't think Sonny Long has a clue about what to do here.
There's Hopson. You can still hear some sting in those gloves here.
And Long really does not have the speed even to get off a counter punch. You can see him wanting to pull the trigger, and he just can't let the punch go because Hopson's too quick.
Wally, when is some of this stop being hot dogging and just his style?
That, first of all, stop being flashy with a good right hand, because it staggered Sonny Long. I don't know. That's interesting. You know, it's a fine line. You know, how much of it is just pure hot dogging? How much is Eddie Hopson's style? I don't know. I think maybe we're seeing a little bit more hot dogging than style tonight. I think he has to tone down the act just a little bit. I think it would make him a more serious fighter. And I don't doubt that he will as he gets older.
One thing they told us with the main events people is that there's probably not a much harder worker than this young man has been in the gym whenever they get a chance to work with him. Of course, again, living in St. Louis and going to high school is kind of an in and out situation with him.
Well, yeah, but he's always worked hard after school, you know, but he's told me that his studies do come first, and I believe there's a clause in his contract that says he must finish high school before he pursues his boxing full-time. I mean, he doesn't even consider himself to be pursuing this full-time yet until after he gets his high school diploma.
Our compliments to the people writing that contract.
He's digging now with that right hand.
Probably the two main event people here tonight, and certainly with Hector Camacho, maybe a little rub off here on Hopson tonight, huh, Wally?
Well, if anything, I think he's showing Pazienza and Camacho a little bit of what they've shown us through the years. In fact, he may be showing Camacho a few things that Hector's forgotten how to do.
The one thing he's going to have to work on is that T-shirt he comes into the ring with. That was not all that flashy.
No, that needs work.
This does not need a lot of work here.
Well, Long, you know, is a veteran and is blocking a lot of those punches. Not all of them, but he's blocking most of them, and you can see that he's not hurt.
You know, veteran also, speaking of Long, won 204 and lost 24 amateur fights. National AAU champion, Sports Festival champion, and National Golden Gloves champion in 1980.
And now Hopson's really working him over on the ropes, especially with that right hook, and there's some blood from somewhere, I believe.
Now the referee stopping him momentarily.
No, it's just a red blotch on the neck. You know, they've got some attractive round card girls here in Providence. That is not one of them.
Hector Macho Camacho. Round 4. I think I've seen it all now.
Boy, and so have the fans here. They were throwing things at Hector. And I don't blame them.
Round 4, featherweights. Eddie Hopson. Hopson, by the way, does have a cut just above the ear, and it's in the hairline.
A very strange place.
It is indeed.
It's not the kind of a cut that's going to be, you know, a problem in continuing a fight, but it looks painful as all heck. I mean, you can't even tell Sonny Long to work on the cut. What does he do? Hit him on top of the head?
That's right. Sneak up behind him. Again, another thing that I think Hopson does very well here, Wally, is that his extremely good footwork. He steps away from so many punches. I realize Long at 34 may not have the quickness he'll be faced with down the road, but he does step away so well.
He really never does stand in one place for very long, which is actually a characteristic of his stablemate also, Meldrick Taylor. But that also, don't forget, detracts somewhat from a fighter's punching power because he rarely plants his feet to punch.
Speaking of Meldrick Taylor against Julio Cesar Chavez, they'll be coming up on March 17th, and our comrade here at ringside, Wally Matthews, will have something to say about that on Out for the Count later tonight.
And I'm really looking forward to that bout. That should be a classic matchup.
And in a couple of weeks, you promised now you'd do this. You'd give us a preview of the Leonard Duran fight, right?
And I think I'm finally going to come through with that promise.
Okay.
I know I promised it several times, but I've actually gotten to see the two gentlemen, and I do promise to speak about them.
And on record for a winner, right?
Yes, and
okay.
Hopefully before the fight, I'll come up with a prediction. Although maybe I'm better off waiting until afterward. They're actually slowing down a bit here now. Although when Hopson slows down, it's more active than some of the fighters we've already seen tonight.
Again, Long almost appears just be to look for one punch. And Hopson, of course, has already thrown 5 or 6 before Long can even throw one.
Long's just kind of making himself comfortable back there on the corner pad. Actually, he has been able to cover up very well when he's been on the ropes. Hopson has not done as much damage on the ropes as you might think.
Young 18-year-old Eddie Hopson in the featherweight division. How do you stack him up, Wally, just from what you've seen in the past and certainly tonight here in Providence?
A tremendous potential, but as I said at the beginning of the bout, needs work on certain techniques. I mean, you can't teach the hand speed or the movement or the instincts, but there are certain little things that he has to break, like the bouncing up and down. And this is flashy stuff, but he's really not putting much into those punches, and he's not varying the attack. Obviously, Sonny Long knew all those punches were going to come at the head.
End of round 4 as Hopson heads over to the corner.
Okay. Ain't no big deal.
Round 5, featherweights, Eddie Hopson against the veteran Sonny Long. Hopson in the black with the white stripes and on the attack all night.
And here's where Sonny Long has spent most of the fight. You know, he's not going to need much rest because he's been resting against that corner pad for 5 rounds now. But you can see that he's taking most of those punches on the elbow and on the gloves.
Hopson looked like in that particular exchange, Wally, that he wanted to try to come at various angles, but Long, the veteran, blocked everything he threw at him, I think.
Oh, Long in his own way is a very cagey fighter. And he has not made it easy for Hopson to hit him, although Hopson has certainly outpunched him maybe 10-1. Snuck in a good right hand there, Eddie Hopson did. That's a slick move. He just ducked right underneath Sonny Long and turned him around. One thing about Hopson, he has not seemed to slow down in his attack at all, so you know he's in pretty good shape. Throwing a lot of punches.
Crowd quietly waiting for something to happen with Hopson again. Knowing full well that he can load up on Long and has all night, but Long again blocking a lot of punches.
And I think when we see Hopson not punching here for periods of time, it's not because he's tired, but because he really doesn't know what to do to open Sonny Long up.
What would be the strategy? You got any answers for him?
Well, you know, this is a difficult guy to hit, both to the body and to the head. I think he should work more to the body, to tell you the truth, and try and bring the gloves down. But it's tough to tell from here. You know, when you're in there, it's like when you watch a pitcher from the dugout. You know, he doesn't look like he has much, then you get up there and you find out you can't hit him. Now we see a jab from Hopson, which he really doesn't use very much because he's usually fighting in close.
Long again, even when he's backpedaling, he's catching punches on the gloves.
Well, as we said at the beginning of the fight, it's a good, tough, experienced opponent for Hopson. Obviously, not a very dangerous opponent, but an experienced one and hard to hit.
Pro Boxing Tour here in Providence at the Civic Center. We'll be back after this regional break. Eddie Hopson may be throwing a shutout here on Sonny Long. We'll move to the 6th in a moment. Sam Smith, along with Wally Matthews, our Pro Boxing Tour on Sports Channel America at Providence, Rhode Island at the Civic Center. 6th round featherweights. Eddie Hopson, young man on the attack against the veteran Sonny Long, and from the corner of Hopson, no more clowning around. Let's get out of business in this, the 6th.
You know, even more interestingly, from the corner of Sonny Long, it sounded like they were running up the white flag. They said to him, just stay out of his way this round. Sounds like they're conceding the fight. It's just don't get hurt now, Sonny. And you see that he is moving a bit more now.
Tried to club again on that cut, by the way, which is, you can almost see it there on your screen. It's a little white patch just above the left eye, left ear, excuse me, right in the hair. There it is right there. You can get a good look at it. That's where the cut was.
You sure that wasn't made by his barber before he came in?
With that Nike swash on the back, I'm not sure.
Maybe, oh, that was right on the break.
Sonny Long looking to referee. Harold Gomez, who back in 1952, by the way, was the lightweight world champion.
You may have noticed at home when they introduced the referee, some applause from the fans here. He was the first world champion from Providence, Rhode Island, well before Vinny Pazienza. That was back in 1952. And the interesting thing is, Harold Gomes was the original trainer and manager of Vinny Pazienza. I'm not sure how they came to their end, but I know they're not together anymore. Interesting little association.
Good hard work from almost start to finish by Eddie Hopson of St. Louis, 18-year-old senior in high school. And again, if this obviously goes the way that many feel it'll go, we'll be seeing if Mr. Hopson feels it was a good fight with the additional flips, or will we just skip one at the end?
Right, that's how we gauge it, you know, like from 1 to 4 stars with movie reviews or restaurants. We do it with flips here with Hopson.
And he has to stay inside the lines.
Right.
1 minute to go in this fight. You've had a good opportunity to see Hopson, though, and you may be able to gauge this down the road in future fights on our Pro Boxing Tour. This is a good-looking featherweight.
You know, he throws so many punches, Sam, that it's easy to forget that he really does not use his jab very much. And that might be the weapon that he needs just to make this attack work a little bit better.
Good condition, good shape.
Well, as we said before, his stamina seems fine. He seems to take rest when he's frustrated because he can't hit his man, but he certainly doesn't seem tired.
I think you hit it right on the money, though, Wally, in the fact it has been a good work for him. He has at least got to throw a lot of punches tonight on Long. So Hopson apparently may finish out this 6th round rather quietly as the bell winds to a conclusion. That's it. The fight is over. Eddie Hopson, almost non-stop perpetual motion here. And it seemed the last 10 seconds just coasted home, possibly the victory of the veteran Sonny Long. Long at 34, Hopson only 18. That doesn't look like he's even breathing too hard here as he picks up a possible win in Providence tonight. Long going for that 5-0 record and a couple of knockouts here. So we'll find out the official decision coming up and a talk with Eddie Hopson. We'll be back with more from Providence. Going to flip out. Let's find out with the official decision on the first fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a unanimous decision. Judge Addison scores it 30-24. Judge Sammartino scores it 30-24. And Judge Stone scores it 30-24 for the winner in the blue corner, Eddie Hopson.
So it's Hopson winner by unanimous decision. We got a flip. Oh, look out. He's going for more. There's 3. Is there one more? There is. As Hopson gives us 4 flips on it, look out. Duba's going to try to get one. There's the 5th one. If Lou tried that, we'd have to call every medic in Rhode Island. So Eddie Hopson with a 5-flipper tonight, getting his 5th victory. 18-year-old senior from St. Louis. And again, well, how would you score it? Got to be at least some 9-9s in there. So as the flips continue, the talk goes with Wally Matthews and the winner tonight, Eddie Hopson. Wally?
Eddie, 5 flips. Is that a personal record or what? I can't remember how many you told me you've done.
Well, each win, flip.
Yeah, but what's the record? How many's the most?
8.
8.
Yeah.
Oh, this wasn't even close. Were you unhappy with your performance at time? It seemed as if you may have been frustrated that you weren't able to hit this guy cleanly.
Well, this guy, he was just here to, he was like a punching bag. He was a survivor. That was it. He was in trying to survive. You know, every time I try to get a clean shot, his hand's at his head. You know, he's like a punching bag. I just came in here, you know, for workout. As you know, I broke my thumb in my last fight 2 months ago. And this was just to get me back into it. You know, just one for January 28th.
Louis, is there anything you would have liked to see Eddie do in there differently?
Yeah, I would have liked to see him just bend over a little more so he got more punching power when he was going to the body. But you got to remember one thing. In his last fight, Sonny Long, he fought Jamal Hinton, one of the best prospects around, and he dropped him in an 8-round and lost a close 8-round decision. He hasn't been knocked out in 7 years. This guy's a real veteran. But for him, you couldn't go to school better than you did with this guy here.
Well, it was obvious that he could not deal with the hand speed of Eddie Hopson tonight. Another step in the development of Eddie Hopson. Now back to Sam.
Thank you, Wally. As Eddie Hopson comes up with a victory, I was entering. He said he's going to give us a flip for every win. If he has a long career, it's going to be a long night after each fight. Good punching power by Eddie Hopson, getting his 5th victory. The flips are on, and he comes up with a victory here. It's the prelude to the main event coming up tonight as Vinny Pazienza